here. It's really my great pleasure, privilege, and honor to be with you for the next 3 days, taking you on a whirlwind tour of skills needed to build up, to work with, to modify, and understand models, particularly agent-based models, but also system dynamics and discrete event models, as captured in this package any logic. So it's great to see all the faces here, especially some folks from past events, and those of you who have stayed on. Could you help orient me? Is there anyone here that is new here today and that has not been for the past 2 days, just been hearing things? Okay, so 1 or 2, yeah. Great. That's helpful to set my understanding. And I'm happy those who are new are very experienced and knowledgeable. The past few days we've been talking in a variety of case studies, in a variety of presentations of introductory material, sort of recommendations for the modeling process, and reflections on types of models available. Thanks, Dylan. We've had a chance to get to understand elements of dynamic modeling. And we noted that the broad enterprise with which these models are associated is really examining dynamic behavior that results from a hypothesized causal structure. So that they have a way of capturing sort of our hypotheses, our theories, as it were, in an operational way within a model, in a way that captures the mechanics of the system, the physics of the system. If you modify A, how does it change B and C and D, and how do those changes ripple through the entire system? And we noted that in comparison with statistical models, which depend on associations noted historically, one of the big draws for system science models, these dynamic models, is the ability to look at counterfactuals. It's the ability to look at situations, to envision, examine, and study the prospective response of a system to situations which have never been examined before. And the reason we can do that with greater robustness is because we can use these models to capture the underlying causal structure that's hypothesized to obtain, and we can then modify certain things and see how it plays out in that causal structure. And I noted over these past few days that these models are not panaceas. They're not perfect. They're not. They don't automatically bring us profound understanding of the nature of reality. Instead, they provide a way to understand the logical implications of our assumptions about a system, and particularly to test the degree to which the logical implications of those assumptions align with the empirical evidence we have available to us. And as such, by allowing us to kind of see, if we assume this, if we assume that, what's the consequence? They allow us to learn more quickly from the empirical evidence. And often that learning involves taking that model and tweaking it, or taking that model and replacing a piece of it with something better, or taking that model and throwing it out and having a better model. The point is that's learning. It's not a failure when it fails to line up with evidence. It's an opportunity to learn. And models help us learn more quickly, more deeply, more consistently, more robustly in the context of the many challenges that confront us in collecting data, in reasoning in our heads about things. So these dynamic models, these models that are mechanistic, that characterize the physics of the system, help us ask what-if questions about situations that have never before been seen, and they help us learn more quickly from the evidence that's available to us. And we talked in the past few days about a wide variety of evidence that could be brought to bear, whether it's administrative data sets, results of primary studies to which you may have access, longitudinal data, particularly for agent-based models or discrete event models, individual level models, which can make use of that, and data from novel data sources such as electronically sourced data through tools like IEPI. So we're working with these models for a reason, because they open up new vistas. They do not replace, they do not make obsolete traditional techniques, but instead they help us take those traditional techniques and go further towards achieving goals of more effective health and healthcare system. So that's the broad enterprise of modeling in which we're embarked. And we're going to be examining in the course of these next few days a particular system which is associated with particular power in pursuing these sorts of models. The system is known as AnyLogic. How many people here have used AnyLogic pretty significantly in other work? Okay, how many people have used it at all before? So you've okay, say other than yesterday. Okay, so other than yesterday, how many people have used it other than that? Okay, and how many people prior to yesterday were totally new, had never seen AnyLogic before? Okay, yes, quite a number. That's great. As in the past 2 days, I'm going to be trying to address the bulk of folks who have never seen this before, but I'll also try to toss out those things which will be of interest. Throw some bones to people who have greater amounts of interest. So those who have been here the past 2 days, why AnyLogic? Why am I up here talking about AnyLogic as opposed to repast, or talking about Vensim, or talking about ModGen or other packages? Why AnyLogic? I've mentioned a few sort of compelling issues over the past few days. Can you give me any of them?
They can combine different types of models.
Combine different types of models, and this is going to be one of the key things we tap. So we have different types of models that are natural for describing different types of phenomena or problems or needs. So models where you have resource limited processing, where you have queuing, where you have long waits because of unavailability of resources or lack of coordination between those resources, the sort of things you'd see in an emergency room of a hospital. Discrete event modeling brings a lot of strength. We can, with a modest amount of mechanism, we can characterize an awful lot of logic involving those sort of components. On the other hand, if you're dealing with a broad population level understanding, maybe the detail isn't there at the individual level as to how things work. Maybe you're just developing a sort of high-level theory of things, and you want to do a rough and ready model that's very visual, and you could show to stakeholders. And or if you want to analyze that model mathematically, you might use something like system dynamics. Agent-based modeling, if you want to characterize networks and people's location and heterogeneity and aspects of their history, agent-based modeling can be a great fit. But the point is, it's no longer about choosing one or the other, saying, I'm going to commit to this and I'm going to be an agent-based modeler for the rest of my professional life. Instead, what you'll increasingly be doing, because of AnyLogic, is weaving together these different components. And it's not just AnyLogic. Repast is going this direction. Vensim is going it in some way. And Simio, I think, has some work in this direction. And it's for a reason, because often within a given problem, there's pieces of the system or pieces of interest that are best fits to certain of these types of modeling, and we can weave them together. And AnyLogic does that job better than any other package I know, and more completely. So that's a big, compelling reason. What's another reason that I argue, particularly in the agent-based context, that AnyLogic is very important?
It's more accessible. You don't have to just look at lots of code.
Exactly. And this is, so that's exactly right. So it's more accessible to those from a wide variety of backgrounds. And this is not a minor issue. This is not a mere matter of eliminating a nuisance. This opens up the possibility for what I called agile modeling. this potential to have interdisciplinary teams who work together with someone perhaps from greater modeling background embedded as a member of the team, but not the only one shaping the model. In fact, just one of many shaping the model, and where the model is going and being passed before many sets of eyes, it serves as a boundary object with lots of people commenting on it and using it to kind of focus comments about the system and reflecting jointly on the system that's captured in that model. And it's very important that to function in this way, that the model be transparent, that you could have people from a wide variety of backgrounds who, even if they don't understand all the details of what's in that model, that a lot of it is visual and parsable at a high level. You can look at it and kind of see, oh yeah, okay, so there's sort of these set of processes that apply to smokers, and here it is. It just shows former smokers as quitting, and then there's a relapse. There's a relapse transition. I can kind of understand what that means, even if I'm not a modeler. And we've done this with a large number of projects now, and it's not a one-off sort of thing, an ad hoc sort of thing that's only possible in certain cases. It is possible on a regular basis with a tool like AnyLogic. It's also possible that people from all across the team can interrogate the model, can run it themselves, can introduce a new scenario where the parameter value is changed, and possibly could even go in and turn off a given item. They could eliminate a flow or eliminate a transition and see what the result is, and maybe even add, with a bit of training, add in graphs that show things there with which they have interest, So it basically broadens the set of eyes and brains and sort of perspectives that can be brought to bear for a model, and that's not a small thing. It's not a small thing. And I argued 2 days ago that this can mean a qualitative difference in terms of kind of advancing modeling within a project. It's its ability to bring people together, to serve as a glue of an interdisciplinary group, to air issues, and to learn on an ongoing basis from this model as it's built up step by step by step, and to guide it as it's built up as insights emerge. So AnyLogic is a key tool for that. Now there's many other strengths that recommend it too, and I could wax nerdily about its interoperation with Java libraries and the fact that it maintains sophisticated three-dimensional rendering of certain views, and I could talk about I could wax on poetically about aspects of its library which are recommended, and discuss how easy it is to sort of put in place certain sophisticated types of modeling mechanism. But at a high level, hybrid modeling, the capacity to make use of highly visual models, and where the boundary between the different types of models evolves over time. So you can, as you learn about the system and what may be important, you can increase detail for the areas that seem the most important, seem the most relevant, and you can back off detail if in sensitivity analysis they don't seem to be all that critical. These are really valuable things. So I'm here to talk about AnyLogic because I genuinely believe it brings a great deal of value to many projects. And I'm hoping that in our time together, the 3 days afforded to us, we'll be able to sort of internalize some of those gains. We're going to be working the next 3 days to build up a lot of models. So if you don't have a computer in front of you, or you don't have AnyLogic on that computer, maybe you don't have the license key yet or whatever, you might want to talk with a TA in case they can help you secure that. But I would like you to pull up to other people. This is not just an observer type event. We're going to be highly involved in building this, and I would urge anyone in the room, if possible, to participate in that, because that's where a lot of the learning takes place. Okay, so we're going to be rolling up our sleeves, and we're going to be building a lot of homes. Now, given the diversity of people in the room, I'd like you to speak up if I'm going too fast, if you want me to repeat things. I try to make effort to go over things in sort of a fugue-like fashion, to come back to the theme, but I will sometimes jump ahead. Please just call me back and say, could you go through that again? I'm lost, need help. There are two TAs. One of them is Dylan. Is Dylan, could you, oh, he's outside? Yeah. Okay, he's probably helping the participant. But Dylan was up here earlier, helping me with the video thing. And Annie, do you want to stand up here at the back? Annie has come to us all the way from Taiwan, and suffered the depredations of the Border Security Agency, and went through a lot to be here. So grateful to her, and they'll try to sit at the back and just raise your hand to get their attention. Okay? At any point, and of course grab me as my situation allows. Great. Okay, so we're going to be getting started. So I'd like you to fire up your AnyLogic. So if there are any questions that people have right now. Oh, some of you may be working with Personal Learning Edition. I know yesterday's example, as it turns out, as Murphy would have it, it didn't work with Personal Learning Edition. I don't anticipate anything being a problem for our model. So I think you can do all the examples I'm thinking about with Personal Learning Edition, but just let me know if there is an issue that comes up, and we'll try to deal with it. Okay?
Yes. Just a word on that.
Yeah.
On the USB keys that I've handed out, the university version, which is far more powerful. There's also the activation key in the directory. If that's not powerful enough, I've put a number of USB keys up the front there that's got the professional edition on it. The same activation key.
So very, very generous of Peter to help support this, and there are a bunch up here. So if does anyone need one right now? One of these professional? The unassuming box is misleading. This is like I was going to say like a nuclear reactor in a box, but that's not a good analogy. But it's very favorable, and it won't make you glow. Okay. Great. So any questions people have about this event? We're going to be going 3 long days. And please, I will probably sometime have to give my vocal cords a break. I've been known to be so hoarse I can't talk after some of these. So I will, if it's okay with you, I'll sometimes ask a few others to speak, and I may go off and seek a moment of pause in my speaking. Okay, and I'm going to have to modulate my voice. I won't be able to be as quite evocative as I'd like to be. Have to pace myself. Okay, so folks, we're going to get started, and we're going to be building up a set of models. I'm going to be closing out some models that I've opened. When AnyLogic comes up, you will see either this screen or you'll see this screen. I'm going to start a new video.